Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel Chelsea tier list. We are back today. We have got 4 different categories: top players, good players, must improve players, and bad players from the Chelsea performances so far this season. The last 2 videos on the channel, we had the podcast that you guys may have seen 2 days ago. If you want to go and watch that, you can. If you'd rather listen to it, it's 45 minutes long. So if you'd rather just put your headphones in, go for a run, go for a walk, listen on the tube, you can do that on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. The QR codes will appear randomly at different times throughout the duration of this video on the screen so that you can go and follow the pod. It is something that we're working on this season. It's going really well. We're a few episodes in now and it has been great. Make sure you're also subscribed to GBFC. I know it's the international break and there's not as much to talk about and it's not as intense here on the channel as it would be during a match week, but if you're subscribed, then by the time it does get intense again, you're notified when I upload a video. So, without any further ado, we begin with Robert Sanchez, who is a goalkeeper, and if you've been a long-term follower of this channel, he's a goalkeeper that divides opinion, not only amongst various other fans, but in my brain. When I think about Sanchez, I'm like, I don't really know if this guy is a top keeper or not. I don't think he's a top keeper, but then I think he's been good so far this season. I think he's won us points against Nottingham Forest. He won us points away at Bournemouth, and he gave away some ridiculous goals against Brighton. So I can't say he's been a top performer because I think a top performer is someone that just churns out top performances game after game after game. But in terms of winning us points and being a reason why Chelsea are currently 4th in the Premier League, Robert Sanchez is absolutely that. We move into player number 2, Philip Jorgensen. He's the cup goalkeeper, as Enzo Maresca said at the start of the season. I don't think he's been absolutely brilliant and perfect in the Conference League. We've conceded a few goals, conceded against Servette, we conceded against Ghent, but we didn't really get challenged against Barrow. So in terms of like knowing if he's really knocking on the door to give Sanchez a run for his place in the starting 11 in the league, I don't even know if we can be sure yet if that's the case, but I'm going to say that he's been good because I don't think he's been bad. Malo Gusto, this is the first time there is a bit of jeopardy here at the start of this video. I'm putting Malo Gusto in the must improve category. I just want to say this about Gusto first of all. He's still very young. He's obviously come in at Chelsea. He's made a really good impression. There's been a few injuries here and there as well, which is a big question mark about that right side of the pitch. When we looked at Reece James and Gusto, if they're both fit, I think Chelsea have got the best right back depth in the Premier League. You could argue that Liverpool have got pretty good with Bradley and Trent, but Reece James and Malo Gusto, that's a brilliant combo. The issue is they can't stay fit. And with Gusto, there's been a lot to take on board so far this season. There is a new manager again, which is always difficult, but when it comes to what the role of Gusto is, he's being asked to do a lot. And it isn't like your traditional, you're a right back, go forward when you can, and then make sure you defend well. There's inversions. There's kind of playing as like an advanced 8 at times this season for Gusto. But I think predominantly, I think you can say that Gusto going forward looks good. Not great. I don't think he's been putting the ball on the money every single time. But defensively, he's looked weak this season. And I absolutely think he needs to improve. Malo Gusto goes in to tier number 3. Axel Disasi as well. Look, we've not seen that much of him. He's been playing in the cup competitions. I thought he was good the last time that we saw him. But also, I think when you look at what he did at right back against Bournemouth, talking about Malo Gusto's injuries, talking about Reece James's injuries, when we saw Disasi there against Bournemouth, it just was not good, to be quite honest. So for that reason, I'm putting him in the must improve. I've still absolutely got questions about whether or not Disasi is Chelsea level. Moving into Wesley Fofana, 3 in a row for the yellow category. Must improve. Fofana, look, he was out for a very, very long time. He's been out injured. And again, he comes into a system where he's being asked to play out from the back. He's got to be comfortable on the ball. Chelsea at the minute, we're still getting run through in the middle at times. So there's a lot of work that the defenders need to put in. And I think comparatively, when you look at various other defenders that we'll get into in a moment, I feel as though Fofana is still a little bit of a liability. I think there's a top player in there. I think he's growing into that partnership with Levi Colwill. It's not been bad, but I definitely think there's still a lot of room for Wesley Fofana to improve. Levi Colwill, there we go. First player in the top players category. I'm not surprised by this whatsoever. You put him in his best positions, and then that is exactly what you get. Levi Colwill, he's been that central centre-back at times this season because one of the fullbacks is inverting into the midfield. So Levi has just sat there at the middle, looking to pick passes between the lines, through the lines, beyond the opposition lines. And he's doing an amazing job. We saw him start for England against Greece as well. I think he absolutely deserves to be there for both Chelsea and England. We move into Tosin, who's actually made a very quietly good start to life at Chelsea Football Club. When he comes on as a substitution, he's there to kind of assure the back line. He brings a little bit of calmness, stability, those kind of buzzwords. He brings that to the Chelsea defence. And as well as that, when he starts, he looks great. He looks comfortable. I think when you take a move and you go from Fulham, you go to Chelsea, no disrespect to Fulham, but it is a massive step up. The expectations here at our club are massive. And I think sometimes the shirt can be heavy. It can weigh upon new signings and they look to struggle. Not Tosin. I think he looks comfortable. I think he looks calm. And we're probably going to see Tosin start against Liverpool because, well, Wesley Fofana is in the yellow category and he's also got 5 yellows already. So he's suspended for the game against Liverpool. We move into Badiashile, and it's not just because his name has the word bad in it, but to be quite honest, I just don't think this guy is very good. And I'm gutted, to be fair, because when he first joined, I'm like, what a Rolls Royce of a defender. They had a song about Todd Boehly going to France in a Lamborghini. And, well, I think all of the flipping tyres are flat at this point in that Lamborghini. Badiashile, don't think he's good enough right now for Chelsea Football Club. And I've got lots of questions. I want to know what has happened to Benoit Badiashile. Your thoughts in the comments down below. Marc Cucurella is also going into the top players category. I think the way that this guy has turned his Chelsea career around is absolutely sensational. When he first signed, I was like, look, we've seen him play well at Brighton. He's done very well there. Played a very specific role in a very specific system, in a very stable side, in a very stable club. Comes in at Chelsea, and I'm like, Pep Guardiola wanted him. Are we sure? So far this season, what I've loved about Marc Cucurella is not only are we seeing that fiery side, I think sometimes when a player's got that in him, he just needs to go on a good run to be able to show that every single week. Winning the Euros with Spain last summer was massive for him. We saw how crazy he went afterwards, big party, and then he's taken that form in at Chelsea. There's so many players that you see play in the internationals in major tournaments in the summer. They either do really well and then they flop, or they do really badly and then they just can't regather that form going into the season. But Marc Cucurella, he just seems to be growing and growing and growing. Whether it is the way that he defends, not always perfect, but stepping up, inverting into that midfield role, getting forward as well. I think he's undroppable right now in the Chelsea side. But I would say, because of once again, the suspensions, a lot of petulance from Cucurella at times. He's always got to have like one last word at the referee. And he's suspended for the Liverpool game. So we will see Renato Vega, who I'd also say has been good. I think with Vega, it's very easy to say, yeah, he's been top, but he's not played that much yet for me to say, yes, he's been a top player. But when he comes on, he looks great defensively. When he starts, he looks good. I would say at times, I think he's a bit erratic. I think he rushes sometimes, but again, he's still young. It's a bargain of a signing. I absolutely love him. Getting on really well with the crowd. He seems to be the kind of player that the players seem to love. I think João Felix came out and said that he's the hardest trainer or something recently, which is big. So Renato Vega has done very well. When you look at this tier list, guys, so far, this is the defence which has been the problem. And it's already looking pretty good so far this season, isn't it? We move into Enzo Fernandez. Look, I've said a lot about Enzo. We spoke about Enzo Fernandez at great detail in the podcast episode this week. So make sure you check that out if you want to hear some more information. But with Enzo, like, he's not been bad. And I think positionally, he's very important for the structure of this Chelsea team and the way that the team is knitted together and how we can commit extra men forward here because Enzo's going to be there. But execution of making the right pass at the right time, you can't question his desire You can't question his work rate, but you can absolutely question the quality of what he's currently bringing to the Chelsea team. So for me, Enzo Fernandez must improve. Moises Caicedo, I think he's been great. I would have said top player, but at the same time, I still think that the midfield needs a bit of work here for Chelsea. And I don't necessarily think it's been because of Caicedo that sometimes we are getting overran in the middle. I think a lot of the reasons why Chelsea is still giving up a lot of chances is because we're still learning a new system. And I think there's a lot of teething going on this season at Chelsea. But it's like, it's at that point where if you're a youngster and you're teething for the first time, when you first start to feel that pain of a tooth trying to come through, it's going to make you cry. It's going to make you concede goals, goals, goals. But with this Chelsea team now, I feel as though there are still going to be pain points, but we're learning quickly. The players have been together for a long time, and we've just added a bit of salt and pepper in this season with quality, with the likes of Jadon Sancho, with the likes of Pedro Neto. And I think Caicedo, I'm very excited for where he goes from here, because he quite often starts the season slowly, and then we start to really see the true Caicedo. But right now, I think he's up there with one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. We move into Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who I'm delighted for him for getting his first goal in that game against Ghent. But once more, I want to see more from Dewsbury-Hall. I think there is definitely a transitional element to the fact that we've not seen the free-flowing, attacking, goals, assists, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall yet. But again, not many opportunities. We might potentially see Dewsbury-Hall in that game against Liverpool. I think there's definitely a debate to be had. Enzo Fernandez, obviously, international break with Argentina. Same with Caicedo. But I think with Enzo, we quite often see a less performance when he's been on international break. So maybe against Liverpool, we see Dewsbury-Hall in the side. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We move into Cesare Casadei. Another player that's not played that much, but he's looked good, to be honest. I think when you look at him at the start of matches, when he does get himself on the pitch, he does look as though he's just trying to find his feet a little bit. He's obviously not played that much football at Chelsea. He's very determined to make it at Chelsea. We saw him in an interview. It looked like he wouldn't be able to get his words out at some point. He looks very nervous. But a good footballer, tidy footballer, looks comfortable in the middle. But again, not really playing against the most challenging of opposition. So it would be good to see more. But I think he's done well. And he's still there in the squad right now. Moving into, of course, Cole Palmer. And this guy is self-explanatory at this point. The man is a magician. He's a mercurial footballing talent. He's now doing flipping adverts for Burberry. Sitting there in a nice long jacket, fishing. It's unbelievable. And I think Cole Palmer is one of the only players that I could actually sit there and watch a 9-minute advert where he doesn't speak and just keep watching just in case, because you never know what you're going to get and what you're going to see with this man. But you do know that it's going to blow you away, that it's going to be class, it's going to be quality. And Cole Palmer has just been absolutely magnificent. He's the best player in England, the best player in the world, in my opinion, right now. And of course, he's been top again this season. There were questions, you know. Is Palmer going to be able to sustain the levels of last season? People were like, was it a fluke? The answer to that is it's no fluke. We got another new system, another new manager. And again, he's already showing that he is the top player at Chelsea Football Club. We move into Joao Felix. Must improve. I think with Felix, it's a case of we saw Joao Felix when he first came to Chelsea and we're like, an exciting player, a flashy player. He's a shiny toy. When it comes to, I've said it already, and I think this is the best way to describe Joao Felix. He's got the finesse, but we need it to be finessed. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be the fancy trickery, like, there's moments where it's brilliant. He's had a great couple of assists, I think, already. The header the other day, I think he's got to do better. He's got to hit the target. He just needs to polish that finesse a little bit more. He's nowhere near displacing either the striker, the wingers, or Cole Palmer. And I think he's gonna be few and far between when he gets his minutes. And I think when he does, he still needs to improve. Noni Madueke is definitely going in the good category. He did really well, scored a great goal against Forest. But again, it's about polishing that ability. He does sometimes shoot when he should pass. And I think with Noni, a lot of people have said it's about he wants to be the main guy. I don't think it's that. I think with Noni Madueke, we know what we're going to get. We're going to get a player that wants to isolate the fullback. He's going to try and take everybody on. And I've been really happy with him. I think he's growing. I think he's growing it with importance in the Chelsea team. I think he's aware that other players around him are going to be putting pressure on his position. But I think so far, Noni's been good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Pedro Neto, I'd also say so far, he's been good. I think when he got substituted at half-time, Mason, what are you going on about? I also think with Neto, there's no doubts about his quality, be it beating a man or running at a man or getting in behind. And I think the good thing that Chelsea have with the various different wingers that we've got at the club right now is we've got options. We've got players that thrive in different scenarios. And opposition by opposition, we know that Maresca's willing to adapt. He's able to adapt. And so far, he's doing well at adapting. And I think Neto will get more minutes. And I think we're going to see more minutes for Pedro Neto soon. We move into Jadon Sancho. And I'm putting him in the top performers category. I think he's come in at Chelsea and he has made a massive impact. When it comes to seeing a player on that left-hand side, be able to take a player on, he's playing with such a swagger and such a confidence right now. And I think it's only going to grow. He's still awaiting his first goal, but he's coming up with big assists at big moments in games. And so far, look, when you think about bargains, Man United fans are absolutely fuming at the levels of performance that Jadon Sancho has put in so far. He's made that left wing position his own, and he's been one of the top performers, in my opinion, so far this season. Mudryk, I still think it's must improve. I think he's looked good the last couple of times he's come on. Had a great little cameo against Forest. Should have got himself an assist if Christopher Nkunku could have finished that header. But look, I think what Enzo Maresca's done with Mudryk is he's kind of alleviated some of that pressure off his shoulders. I think it's not necessarily now the onus on Mudryk to be a difference maker from the start. I think coming on and influencing games from the bench is the kind of role that he needs right now. I think starting for Chelsea, maybe the pressure's just been a bit too much. And I think the way that he's being introduced late on, we know what he can do. And it's like, right, the opposition are tired, go out there and hurt them. And I think we're going to see Mudryk grow in importance off the bench between now and the January transfer window, where I still think he might end up going on loan. Christopher Nkunku, I mean, the record speaks for itself. I think he could have easily scored, as we were saying a minute ago, from Mudryk's cross against Forest to win us the game. But I was umming and ahhing. Do I put him in the top performers? But yes, he's been playing against lesser opposition. Or do I put him in good? I still think there's a lot more to come from Christopher Nkunku, but he's just scoring virtually every time he's out there on the field from the start. So he's been fantastic so far. I still think there is a big debate about who ends up being Chelsea's number 9. There's been rumours in a few various lower-end newspapers this week that Osimhen might still end up at Chelsea this January, and Nicholas Jackson goes into the good category, which wraps up this tier list. With Jackson, it's still a case of there is still that improvement potential. He can still score more. He can still finish more. I think when it comes to the conversions of his XG this season, it's a massive improvement on what we've seen prior from Nicholas Jackson. And for such a young player, I think his improvement has been fantastic. I think he will continue to improve under Enzo Maresca. And when you look at that, so far this season, we've already spoken at great detail about how Chelsea have been so far this season. But I wanted to make this video as a visual representation that you guys can reference with my thoughts on where we need to improve, who's been good, who could still improve despite being good. And this is what I've come out with. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe to GBFC if you are new and haven't already done so. Smack a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.